Ever wondered why we carve pumpkins and dress up in spooky costumes on every October 31st? Well, buckle up for a journey back in time to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, the origin of Halloween. Our tale begins over 2,000 years ago, with the Celts, a culture that once thrived across Europe. They celebrated their new year on November 1st, a day marking the end of summer and harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time often associated with death. The Celts believed that on the eve of their new year, October 31st, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. They celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. In an attempt to avoid being recognized by these wandering spirits, people would don masks and costumes to blend in, giving birth to a tradition that thrives to this day, our beloved Halloween costumes. Meanwhile, across the Irish Sea, a legend was brewing. The tale of Stingy Jack, who repeatedly trapped the devil and only let him go on the condition that Jack would never go to hell. Upon his death, Jack was denied entry to both heaven and hell and was doomed to roam the earth with only a hollowed-out turnip holding a burning coal to light his way. The Irish began to carve demonic faces into turnips to ward off Stingy Jack and other wandering spirits. This practice would later evolve into the pumpkin carving tradition we know today as the jack-o'-lantern. From a Celtic harvest festival to a night of trick-or-treating, Halloween has come a long way. But how did this transition happen? As cultures merged and times changed, so did the face of Halloween. Let's delve into the evolution of this spooktacular holiday. From its Celtic roots, Halloween began to take on a new form when the Romans conquered Celtic territories around the 1st century. The Romans brought with them their own traditions and festivals, one of which was the celebration of Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees. The apple was her symbol, and it's believed that this is where the tradition of bobbing for apples originated, a game that started as a Roman courting ritual, but soon merged with the Samhain festival. As the centuries rolled on, Christian influences began to shape the holiday. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, a time to honor saints and martyrs. This Christian holiday was also called All Hallows, and the night before, the traditional night of Samhain, began to be called All Hallows' Eve, and eventually, Halloween. The tradition of trick-or-treating, a staple of modern Halloween, has its roots steeped in history and debate. Some believe it originated from the ancient Celtic practice of leaving food and drinks, or offerings, outdoors to appease wandering spirits. Others trace it back to a Scottish practice known as guising, where children would go door to door in costumes, performing tricks or songs in exchange for treats. There's even a theory that it evolved from a German-American tradition called bell-snickling, where children would dress in costume and then call on their neighbors to see if the adults could guess their identities. So, we've seen how Halloween took shape through the ages. But what about the iconic symbols we associate with the holiday today? Black cats, bats, and candy corn. Ever pondered how these became symbols of Halloween? Let's unravel these mysteries. Our tale begins in the Middle Ages, where black cats were considered a symbol of the devil. This belief, coupled with the association of cats with witches, solidified the spookiness of these feline creatures. Over time, the black cat has evolved into a quintessential symbol of Halloween, embodying the mystery and magic of this special night. Now let's wing our way to the significance of bats in Halloween lore. Bats have been a part of early Halloween festivities, darting through the night sky as bonfires were lit to guide the souls seeking the afterlife. Their nocturnal activities and eerie flight patterns have led to bats being associated with the supernatural, further establishing them as a Halloween staple. And then we have the sweet, tricolored confection that is candy corn. Invented in the 1880s, this treat didn't start off as a Halloween specialty. However, as trick-or-treating began to gain popularity, candy corn found its niche. The candy's colors, resembling the hues of autumn harvest, became a symbol of the season, and thus, a Halloween tradition was born. These symbols, each with a history steeped in folklore and tradition, add to the richness and intrigue of Halloween. They remind us of the holiday's ancient roots, even as we celebrate in the modern world. Now that we know the stories behind these Halloween symbols, how about we take a look at how different regions celebrate this eerie holiday? From Ireland to America, Halloween celebrations take on unique flavors around the globe. Let's explore some of these fascinating traditions. Starting from the birthplace of Halloween, Ireland, the holiday is deeply steeped in its Celtic roots. The ancient festival of Samhain is still celebrated here, marking the end of the harvest season. Bonfires light up the night as a way to guide souls seeking the afterlife, while the tradition of carving turnips into jack-o'-lanterns continues to this day. Crossing the pond to America, Halloween takes on a distinctly commercial tone. Massive parades, haunted houses, and neighborhood trick-or-treating dominate the scene. It's here that the tradition of carving pumpkins took root, replacing the Irish turnip. And let's not forget the mountains of candy, a relatively recent addition from the 1970s when candy took over as the treat of choice. In Mexico, Halloween is overshadowed by the more traditional Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos. This three-day celebration honors deceased loved ones with vibrant altars, marigold flowers, and sugar skulls. It's a rich blend of indigenous Aztec rituals and Catholic traditions, resulting in a colorful and deeply spiritual holiday. Over in Asia, the Hungry Ghost Festival in China and Hong Kong shares similar themes with Halloween. During this time, offerings of food and paper money are made to satisfy wandering spirits. Meanwhile, in Japan, the Obon Festival is a time to honor ancestors with special dances and lanterns that guide spirits back to the world of the dead. Halloween in Australia and New Zealand is a more recent import from America, and is gaining popularity with costume parties and trick-or-treating. The holiday is also seen as a chance to promote community safety and neighborly interaction. Whether it's lighting bonfires in Ireland or trick-or-treating in America, Halloween is a testament to the fascinating blend of cultures and traditions. So, as the final note of a Halloween song fades and the last candle in a jack-o'-lantern flickers out, we're left with a rich tapestry of tales, traditions, and memories. From its humble beginnings in ancient lands to its grand celebrations in modern cities, Halloween's history is not just a tale of ghosts and goblins, but is also a mosaic of stories and practices from different corners of the world. But what does Halloween mean to you? Is it a fun time to dress up and eat candy? A moment to remember loved ones? Or a period to enjoy the spooky and mysterious? Whatever it is, let's keep creating and sharing stories, making each Halloween uniquely special. From ancient harvest festival to global celebration, Halloween's journey through time is as intriguing as the holiday itself. Remember, every pumpkin you carve, every costume you don, echoes centuries of tradition. Happy Halloween!